Opel GT.
Alright guys, after that pretty interesting intro incorporating historical footage from Opel, which was really cool. I hope you liked it. We're here with the finale of the AMT 125th scale Opel GT. Now for my opinion of this kit. I have mixed emotions about it. It's a really neat kit in the fact that it's a subject matter that I really like. The Opel GT is one of my favorite little sports cars, and it's always been one that I've wanted to build. And when I found this kit, I was very happy because I finally get a chance to build an Opel GT. And that's where my feelings start to change a little bit. Still glad I built this kit. Very happy that I finally got a chance to add one of these to the collection. But the build itself is pretty much a complete mess. This kit is dates back, I think, to the 60s, late 60s, and it shows in the tooling, in the fact that parts don't fit the way they're supposed to. There are parts that I was talking about how sorry, got interrupted there for a second. It was only a second for you guys, but it was a few minutes for me. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about the fit of the parts in this kit are mediocre at best, and you know, and that's at best. There are parts that have two male pegs going together instead of a male peg and a female hole in order to install the peg. There are pieces that just don't fit in the car. It's a kit that will, if you want to make a decent looking model, will really test your patience. I'm glad I built it. I can't say I'm not. I'm glad I have one. Like I said, it's a subject matter that I really like. But do I wish there was someone else had one out there that was in this scale, that was a more modern kit, which means better? Yes, I do. So I'll give you my rating of 1 to 10 at the end of this, but let's go over some of the issues that I had with this car. One was the fit of the hood. If you followed the series, you know how much trouble I had just getting the hood to sit in the body, as the hood rests right on the windshield, not on the cowling as on the real car. Now, this kit doesn't come with wipers. I wanted to install wipers on it. I bought a set of photo etch wipers, in which I found that there was absolutely no space to put them on without them looking silly as if they're tacked onto the windshield. So I just decided to leave them off. It also did not bring a rearview mirror, which I was going to install as I have a few extras in my parts bins. Which I forgot due to all the other issues I was having with this kit. And the mirrors that it does bring, it brings two bullet style mirrors, which, thanks to the really helpful people on the Opel GT fan pages, I found out is completely the wrong mirror for this car. And it had a flat round mirror similar to the one here that I found in my parts bin. Not even sure where it came from, but it is basically what the car should have. A round flat mirror, and only on the driver's door, as it didn't come with mirrors on the passenger's door. So that corrected one flaw in the kit. Quite a bit of surgery to the hood corrected the other flaw, which is the fit of the hood. Which, strangely enough, this kit brings a ton of extra parts, so you can build 3 versions. One which is a custom car, and the other one is a dragster, which uses a Buick V6, which also comes in the kit. So you get a spare engine to build with this also. And the other 2 hoods fit much better than the original hood or the stock hood, which leads me to believe that this hood is the original tooling, the stock hood, and the other 2 hoods were not part of the original release of this kit. And that's why they have better tooling, which better matches the body. That's what I'm guessing. If you guys know for sure, let me know in the comments. But as you can see, it does make for an attractive model when it's done and painted up nicely. I'm not 100% happy with the paint job on this one, as seeing as I had so much trouble with the hood, it kind of soured me on going too much further with the paint, even though I did try my best, but I'm not 100% happy with it. Looks good though, but I'm not 100% satisfied with it. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the taillights. It brings 2 sets of taillights, which are for the custom version and the stock version. You don't want to use the stock taillights even if you're building a completely stock version of the car like I did, as they are too shallow and they sit deep inside the buckets. The custom taillights are taller and sit perfectly inside the buckets for the taillights and come out flush with the body. So I recommend that you don't even bother with the stock taillights, as they're just too short and they'll look like they've fallen into the body. Now, this car is done in Tamiya Coral Blue. On the camera, it looks very, very blue. It's actually a little more greenish, almost like a teal. But from what I'm seeing in the camera, it looks a little more blue than green, where in reality it's actually a little more green than blue. The car had tons of mold lines in it that had to be sanded and cleaned up. I mean, the body wasn't horrible, but there were other places where there were tons of lines that had to be cleaned up. The interior was done in just Tamiya white primer. And then I added carpeting. That's blue. I don't know why I can never remember the name of this. Embossing powder. Along with the white primer. I did the seats with blue seat belts to match the blue and white interior theme going on. The steering wheel, if you've watched the series, you can see how I have the steering wheel done with a wood grain, along with the instrument cluster and the center console. Let me see if I... No. Let me see if I can give you a little more light here so you guys can see that on the finished product. Right there, as you can see, the interior is actually nicely done, better than I really expected for this kit, as I thought this, judging by the way everything else went, I thought that the interior was going to be a disaster also. Let's see if you can make that out there. Let's see if we can come in a little closer. There you can see the wooden steering wheel, if the camera will focus a little better. You can see the wooden steering wheel, the center console's wood, the instrument cluster also. I put a link in the episode where I did this to the video from, I think it was a Scale Model Garage. I think it's the YouTuber who does a really good tutorial on how to create this effect. And I learned it from him, and it was really worked out nicely. It's my first time doing it, and the next one will be better, but this one worked out really nicely. Now, this car also was missing a few details on the interior. Don't know if you can make it out there. Let's see if we can put a little light specifically on the interior. This car has a very interesting headlight operation, and it was missing the handle for that, which, for fans of this car, you know, you can't have an Opel GT without the headlight operation handle. Don't know if we can make it out there, but if you watch the video, you'll be able to see exactly what I did to install that. Now, as far as the undercarriage, let's take a look there and we'll see how that came out. Here we have the completed undercarriage. It's not much in the way of detailing down there. It's all going to come down to basically paint applications as to whether it's going to look interesting or not. Here I used the stock exhaust. It brought a custom exhaust, which was my original plan to use, but I forgot to install it before I put in the rear axle. So the stock exhaust it was. I had to actually cut the stock exhaust off of the axle in the instructions to for the installation of the custom exhaust, as the stock exhaust and the rear axle are all one piece. But it wasn't a big deal to glue it all together and after you install it in the car, and it actually works out better that way because you can line up the exhaust tips with the cutouts in the bumper. As one of the issues, as I said, there were parts that just didn't fit correctly or were never going to. The exhaust itself, the muffler, has a pin on the right side where the hole for that pin is on the left side. And that's just an example of some of the things in this kit that just didn't make any sense. So you basically have to cut that peg off and just glue it right to the chassis itself. Now I did all the weathering and painting the way I usually do on all my builds. I used all clad paints for that. I also used Tamiya, titanium silver, titanium gold, bronze, and to do the weathering effect and the shadows, which is one of my favorite things to do. Also did it on the transmission, adding the shadows. That also covered in the in this build series for this car. So the undercarriage I'm actually pretty pleased with. As on its own, it's really not much to look at, but with a bit of some decent paint applications, it actually comes to life pretty nicely. I also painted the front suspension, the rear suspension, the cross members, the reinforcement points on the chassis for the cross members. All of those are done in Tamiya semi-gloss black, just to add a little more detail to the undercarriage and make it a little more visually interesting. And then weathered it all using Tamiya panel line paint, airbrushing a little bit of a couple other different shades of blue in there, and then adding some craft paint, which I decided I'm going to give craft paints a try. I've never used them before. Always just kind of went past them because I never thought they were really all that useful for model building. But another YouTube channel, High Pole Guys, I think they are, he does all sorts of builds, and he used craft paints a lot. So he recommended them. I figured I'd give them a try, and they really do work nice. All the panel lining on the body is done with the craft paints as opposed to the Tamiya paint. Now, as far as the suspension goes, it's really very basic. There really is no parts to it. All there is a metal axle which goes from side to side. On the front and on the rear, you get the diff, the rear differential, and axle assembly, along with the drive shaft, all is one piece, and then an axle that just metal axle that just goes right through from side to side, in order to complete the suspension assembly. And a lot simpler than what I normally like, but you know, as it is, this kit is what it is. So you just build and keep going. I've also added bare metal foil to all the trim work around the windows, the door handles, the marker lights. Now, the one thing I may have to revisit is the front bumper. Now, in the video series, I show how I painted the front bumper with the Molotov chrome paint, and it comes out beautiful. I mean, amazing. And the only thing is that you really can't touch it for quite a while. I'm not sure how long it takes to dry. And while I was polishing out the body, unfortunately, I did touch it. So in trying to clean the bumper off, I pretty much buffed out the chrome, and now it just looks like a dull silver. So that's going to have to be redone at some point. Not horrible, still looks good, but just not the bright shiny chrome that I was expecting. This car also comes with 3 sets of wheels and tires to match those wheels. I chose to use the stock rims, as this is a completely stock build other than the custom coloring, as I like to build stock street versions of the cars that I build, because that's what you would buy if you were buying the car, and that's what I like to see. And here we have the Molotov chrome pen for the trim around the tail lights. Let me see if we can give you a better look at that. And let's take a quick look at the engine, now that we have a hood that actually fits. Here we have the completed engine, and if you look inside, you can actually see. No, let's just switch camera angles here. If you look inside, you can see the completed engine. And here we have, as I showed in the build, there is an actual battery in there installed in the correct location for the car, and a brake master cylinder in the correct location also, as the kit wants you to put it in the wrong place. I also added a aluminum radiator cap for a little more realism. And another wrong location in this kit is the ignition module. The ignition coil here should be mounted to the fender well, not to the engine, as the kit wants you to do. And here we have our engine. The only thing I didn't put in there was the washer tank, as with all the other stuff I put in there, I found I didn't have room, so I may be fabricating a washer tank of my own just to put that in there, as that's one of the big detail spots in the engine compartment. But as you can see, I don't know how well we can see this here. Let's see if we can give you a little light so you can get a look at that. Let's see, can we add a little bit of light? There we go. Here we have our battery, our master cylinder in the correct place, and as you can see, the battery also has a photo etched battery hold down, terminals, positive and negative wires run into it. The brake master cylinder, which coincidentally comes, I thought this was the lowest quality kit that I've ever built. That comes from the other lowest quality kit that I've ever built, which is the Knight Rider from MPC, which was, it's a toss-up as to which one of these two kits is lower quality, but I think I'm going to go with the Knight Rider, as that car was a flash nightmare, which every single piece had to be cleaned up. This one wasn't quite that bad, and the fit of the parts, believe it or not, other than the hood, was actually not the worst. Such as when you install the interior tub and it sandwiches the windshield between the body and the interior tub. Which case, once you install the rear bumpers, they lock the interior tub into the body. So once the rear bumpers are installed, the interior, the windshield, and the body are all locked together. You don't even need to glue them together. There's such a really good positive lock on there that it makes assembly of those three items extremely easy. So all in all, it's not a bad kit. Well, no, all in all, it's not a great kit. It's a kit that you really have to work at, which is most of the fun in it, is figuring out all the issues it has and fixing them and trying to make something look pretty decent. And I'm, for the most part, happy with the way it came out. All the extra details I added. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, I would give this kit probably on quality a 4. 3 to 4. But now comes a subjective area where the fun of the build, which to me is in working on one of these difficult kits and getting it to come out decent, is where most of the fun in model building is for me. And in that, I gotta say that this kit is probably going to be an 8 or a 9. If you want a challenge, this is one to go for. This is definitely, as simple as this kit is, and it is extremely simple, to make a decent result is really going to require a lot of work. And as I'm not a rivet counter, but I do like to build my cars as accurately as possible because it's just fun for me. And it's something that I just use as an added challenge in the builds. So if I can build them as accurately as possible, that includes putting all the details that the kit makers leave out, or as many as I can, then that just adds in the enjoyment of the build for me. So I gotta say, this was one of the most interesting builds and one of the most fun builds that I've had. And I can't say I can recommend this kit for everybody, because unless you really want to work at it, this kit is not for you. I mean, if you just want something you can slap together really quick, throw a little paint on, and you don't really care about the inaccuracies and the fit and finish of the kit, then yeah, this is easy. You get it done in a weekend. But I gotta say that for the right price, I'd buy this kit again and do it again. Because there are a few things that I wanted to address on it, which I didn't get a chance to. And I'd say I'd give it another shot. So that's it. That's the end of the road for the AMT Opel GT in 1/25th scale. Gets a rating of 3 to 4 for the kit, 8 for the challenge. So I guess this is it, and I will see you guys on the next build. And remember to like and subscribe. Tell me what you think about this car, and if you've built it yourself, let me know how much you liked it. And click that like button. Spread the word. Let's see if we can get the channel to grow. And I will, join me on my Facebook page, Onyx Models. And I guess I will see you on the next build.